The girls, the subjects, the main kind of storyline was about this girl, Sarah. She brought her friend Kelly in, and Kelly was helping us, go through, kind of staging for all the shots and scenes. And then the director kept saying, Kelly, grab the Slater. And so we're like, Kelly Slater. So she was doing all the slating. Yeah, it was great. It was a joke of the day. Yeah.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it was fun.
Kelly Slater is a very famous person.
Yeah, we'd love to get Kelly Slater into Sandy Van.
Is that a guy or gal?
Oh, my God.
I'm going to be honest with you.
So you're not an ocean guy?
No.
Not a surfer?
No.
He's the most famous surfer in the world.
Seriously?
Yeah, I mean, like, pretty much everyone on Earth besides you knows who he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But you know what? It's all right. You don't see the ocean that often, Jake. We're going to change that.
My alter ego is living in a van by a river.
Yeah.
Down by the river.
Down by the river.
Yeah, that's no joke either.
All right, Tommy.
All right. We doing the Kelly Slater or no?
Let's do it. Come on.
Let's do it. Might as well.
Let's get all in here.
I'm excited.
We're rolling. We can say we're rolling audio. We're rolling film.
Yes, we are rolling audio.
Yeah,
just have to make sure.
Yeah.
I'm like, crap.
It's official. Yeah.
Dude.
Look at this. Perfect.
Sure, gonna come like right here.
Yeah. Let's get. He wants in front of right
there. You go. You can drop it. Hold on. You want to pick it up and drop it?
There you go.
Yep. What up, y'all? Today's episode of the RV Voice is brought to you by RV Fix. And let me tell you, if you've ever found yourself stranded with an RV issue miles from the nearest service center, you know how frustrating that can be. Well, that's where RV Fix comes in. Imagine having a master RV tech right in your pocket. Yeah, you heard that right. With RV Fix, all it takes is a quick phone call and boom, you're connected via video call with an expert who can guide you through fixing your issue, saving you both time and money. Then here's the kicker. Try RV Fix risk-free with a 14-day free trial. You'll need to enter your card number just like most subscriptions, but don't worry, you won't be charged until after the trial ends. If you decide to continue, please use the code RVVoice at checkout. This really helps support the RV Voice and keeps us going strong, and we really appreciate it. Seriously, guys, this is a game changer. Stay on the road and keep your RV in tip-top shape with RV Fix. Learn more at rvfix.com.
It's official.
Welcome to another episode of the RV Voice. That was the Kelly Slater, but not really Kelly Slater.
That's right. The Slater. It's happening.
Yeah. I'm sitting here with Alan Mandis. I was saying it wrong the whole time, but I didn't meet you till today, so...
You got it right now.
I'm saying Mandis, so I
matters.
apologize.
All good.
But anyway, he is one of the co-founders to Sandy Vans. I am a van connoisseur. I love these things. I would love to flip my 2000 GMC Safari to make it cool, but these things are way cooler than what I got. And we're going to talk about them today. So... First off, just talk about you a little bit. Alan, you're from Minnesota, Midwestern boy. Thank you.
Heck yeah.
Much appreciated. It's hard to, leave that because there's good people out there.
Really good people. Nice people. Great place to grow up.
Yeah, great place to grow up. And it's hard. It was hard to leave. It was a hard thing for me to do, but I did it anyway. But talk about your background a little bit, and then we'll kind of hop into the whole Sandy Van story.
Very good. Yeah, thanks, Jake. Appreciate you making the trip down here, taking the tour today, seeing what Sandy Vans is all about, and getting us on the podcast. Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, excited to make this happen. So, personally, my background started in Minnesota. Grew up there. 25 years. I was, born and raised in Minnesota. Land of 10,000 lakes. State of hockey. Just good old Minnesotan boy. I actually was involved in oval track dirt modified racing for many years.
No way.
So I got a background
like flat track?
Flat track, oval
no
track
stuff. No way.
Yeah.
That's like a dream of mine.
Really?
Oh yeah, I got 3 motorcycles in my garage.
Beautiful.
Old Honda CL350.
Nice.
It's like an old brat rod type thing. It's super cool.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, traveled all around the Midwest doing that. And then hung the helmet up in my early 20s, decided, I should do that whole college thing. So went to the University of Minnesota. Found myself in a sales, organization post college, and was, making the dream happen, the Midwest dream. Bought a house and, was living out. Could kind of see the rest of my life playing out in Minnesota, and was content, happy. But I thought there was something more as soon as I landed in San Diego on a work trip. I'm like, wait, people can live like this? It was December, much like it is today, January, and it's beautiful out. And it really shook my soul. I was like, wait a minute. there's other options. And it wasn't 2 months later, I'd packed the U-Haul my whole life, sold my house and moved west to chase the West Coast dream. Yeah. And I honestly think, Sandy Van's kind of just encompasses a lot of that West Coast dream, and the road tripping and the adventure van lifestyle. Kind of comes from that sense of adventure, that risk taking attitude of when I left home 10 years ago. But Sandy Vans came later in the journey. I moved out, was with a few different sales companies for some years, bouncing around the medical device, med technology industry, manufacturing, supply chain. And during COVID, ended up with an opportunity to take a break. Basically, the company I was working for got acquired, and had an opportunity to exit that position and just look at what I wanted to do next. Mm-hmm. It was a great industry, a great career, and I'd been doing it for 8 years or so, and wasn't sure if that was the forever type of job. And so at that time, got into a 2013 Mercedes Sprinter, went on a kiteboarding trip with a friend, Evan, their co-founder.
He's out there running around.
Yeah, he's buzzing around out there. He's in charge of the shop. So we'll try and get him to sit down, but it's probably impossible.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had built his own van out. He'd been involved in a few different startups and was also, kind of looking for the next venture. Mm-hmm. So at that time, we were, in a couple of vans cruising around the Columbia Gorge, Hood River, the Oregon coast, Idaho, Sandpoint, and just having a ball, doing a lot of action sports, obsessed with chasing wind and waves. And the van is a great vehicle for that. Mm-hmm. So during that time, in the midst of COVID, there was a lot of domestic travel, not as much international. And, there was like the opportunity where van life had already begun in the teens, 2015, 16, 17, 18. And then I think it was just pouring gas on the fire, really with COVID, saying, hey, this is here to stay. The Class B market, the van space really started to ignite. And we saw that and saw opportunity. And Evan is a designer and engineer by nature, and just product driven. Mm-hmm. So he had a lot of ideas for products. My background is in sales and marketing, and we kind of looked at how we could come together and create a business. And it was on that trip that Sandy Vans was born. Yeah.
So that's the story of Sandy Vans too, but a good Midwestern sales boy. You said medical sales.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Medical. Yeah. It's kind of chasing around. Territory was, LA, Orange County when I first got out here, and then the Bay Area. So it was a whirlwind moving out from Minnesota and kind of taking on the West Coast. Yeah.
It was a different type of people.
Different type of people, different world, different opportunity. But every day, it's just so beautiful. And I think, San Diego embodies like a really cool, just group of people. It attracts, adventure goers, people who love the outdoors, staying fit, staying active, and entrepreneurial mindset. So it was fun to fall in this community, and it's actually a smaller city when it comes, especially in California. San Diego is kind of like this little golden nugget, and so I was happy. It reminded me a lot of some of the Midwest values, really, but it had this beautiful landscape and location. And then traveling and kind of experiencing sales in these larger markets. I learned a lot and made some great connections, and allowed set me up really well to start something on my own with friends.
With friends, naturally friendly area out here. So it's like the Midwest,
Right.
You walk in, you're gonna have a friend somewhere. Right?
Yep.
I felt that today. I was literally buying donuts for y'all at VG's. And some guy was like, just started chatting me up out of nowhere. I'm like, well, all right,
we're here. Yeah,
I'm one of your own. I'm one of your own. So,
yep.
So that kind of started the inspiration of Sandy Vans. You guys were just kind of adventure seekers, right? And you guys were chasing wind, chasing waves, whatever it may be. You also did dirt biking and stuff like that. That's kind of how it all started. You guys just had a conversation, drinking beer around a fire, and you're like, this is it. This is what we need to do.
Right. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think
along those lines.
Yeah, along those lines. Yeah, coming out to the West Coast, it was like day one. you move across the country and you see the ocean, you're like, all right, I'm gonna learn how to surf, and fell into, Craigslist roommate. People used to do that back in the day. I'm not sure if they do it anymore. How you find it? Yeah,
same, but different.
But shout out to my first ever roommate out here, Tyler Booth. He had an extra surfboard, taught me how to surf day one, and it was an addiction from there. So I was into surfing, and then I met another group of friends that were into kiteboarding, kite surfing, which is overwhelming. There's a lot of gear, and there's a lot of different. It's like sailing. You got to understand the wind patterns and all this different stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure about that. 2 years later, I get, we go on a trip down to Baja, and I end up falling in love with that sport as well. And that sport, talk about community and adventure. That the individuals who are addicted to kiteboarding, they'll travel the country, the world, trying to find these unique places that provide constant wind, and it's a really hard sport to pick up. Mm-hmm. So it creates this tight-knit community that are willing to travel to go find the right spots and the right conditions and have a great time. So that pairs really well with the van community in a lot of ways. So at the time that trip, we were chasing wind, and we basically were, I was putting the kite gear up on top of the van on like a old Thule type of storage container, rooftop box, and going up and down multiple times, and you're like, oh man, there should be something on the back of these rigs available to kind of hold gear. And that was kind of the idea that sparked the boost box. Okay. Boosting is like a term that we use in kiteboarding. It's for jumping basically. So it's the boost box was born, and that's like where that term came. And so Evan, the engineer, he's like, oh, we can develop and throw one of those together pretty quickly. We went over to one of his friends, fab shop in Idaho over a weekend, and kind of developed a rack system and in the box and put it all together, and off we were with basically our first prototype. Not really thinking about a business yet, just thinking about a need and having that aha moment of, hey, this is something cool. Other people are asking about us now the rest of that trip. And there wasn't really anything, on the market at that point. This isn't, COVID 2020, to go direct to consumer. So started looking at other products and thinking about, starting a van company at that point.
Awesome. So you guys, so I'm from the RV space. We talked about this a little bit. I'm from the RV space, and it's, you get the kind of same community. You go to a camp spot, and you have all these other RVers, and they're very tight knit, kind of like people, oh, have a beer, because I talk to full timers that have friends within full timing, and it's a very, very nice community. Everyone's very sweet. I just met a ton of them down in Tampa recently, and they all come up to me and just like, oh, hi, like so excited to meet me and all that. So I'm guessing this van thing out here on the West Coast specifically, we've talked about the Class B versus camper van. Yep. You guys are camper van space, same but different. But you guys have a full community out here of vans, van life. So like what really sets, I guess, Sandy Vans apart from other van companies, because you guys do a couple of different things. As in, like on your website, you have the Vans Productions, kind of custom-ish, and then you also have accessories, right? And then you're kind of a marketplace. So if you walk through that, that'd be sweet.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the community is important, right? And so every time I'm out in one of the show vans, or we're at different events, or just at the beach, it's every time the doors are open, you're getting, can I peek my head in? I want to see what the rig looks like. I've seen these online. I've seen these on Instagram. I'd love to see one in person. And sometimes I forget, realize that it's such a trend that's happened online, with social media, but, not the mainstream still, is not as familiar, maybe it hasn't been in these vehicles. Right. So creating that community is important to us. So we have kind of three different aspects. It started out with the products. The idea was, from exterior products, interior products, like the Boost Box is where the company originated, and then soon went into full builds to obviously test the products. Oh. So it kind of developed both sides quite quickly. And we started in 2021. And so that was, straight from the get-go, with Evan being a products guy. Right away from the jump, we knew that we needed some more support when it came to fabrication internally with, wood expertise. So we brought in, Brian, we call him Baja Bry. He's a cabinet maker by trade for many, many years. Also owned and operates a company, Solid Woodworks. So he's been doing a lot of things, in that space, camping, overlanding, van and truck builds for many years. In Huntington Beach, so he's our resident SoCal native. Evan's, out of Texas, I'm Minnesota. So we got Brian SoCal, and so he came in and brought a bunch of expertise when it came to the manufacturing and actually doing the build outs inside the vans.
Yeah.
And so that became the main revenue stream was the van build. We're doing some high end finishing when it came to like the lighting and the epoxy and different unique looks that we can do customized for the end consumer.
Very unique. It's a lot of cool stuff.
As well as naming. Honestly, we started out the very first van was Van Diesel, and we did Morgan Free Van and Jackie Van and Vangelina Jolie and Hugh Jack Van.
I didn't know
and
that.
These fun like punny names really kind of they captured attention. It was a good way to just kind of brand Sandy Vans a little bit fun, unique, different, and then the lighting to kind of match it. So Hugh Jack Van, we had like this lighting feature that looked like a Wolverine claw, on the ceiling, and then we did full epoxy resin ceiling on the drop down ceiling on this van called Casper, the Sandy Ghost. So we just kind of like got fun with all these names and kind of artistry within the van. So that's the primary revenue driver, and how the company's grown so quickly is the van builds. And there's the products that are going direct to consumer on our Shopify, on the website. Can be shipped all across the country and be installed in hours by the DIY professional that's doing their own van build, right? Because that's a huge marketplace and consumer group that we want to support and be involved with, because I think it's like the backbone of camper vans. And this custom world is the DIY space, and then we're now diving into rentals as well. So we've put a rental program in place. We have our own rentals, and then work with customers actually on if they own a Sandy van and they're heading. One of them went to London for a work trip for 6 to 8 months, and he was full time, and now he's in London. He wasn't sure if he wanted to sell his van yet, so we started a rev share program to actually rent out his van and maintain it and keep it here at the facility, and it gets more individuals comfortable with a Sandy van and the try before you buy aspect.
Absolutely.
And then of course we're doing tons of events. Last year we did 26. I was telling you earlier, we did GoPro mountain games out in Vail. We did the Barrett Jackson showcase in Arizona, Scottsdale. This year we're keeping them more localized to Southern California for the most part. There's Tiny Fest coming up in Del Mar, Camp Shred in Cardiff. So there's some fun events that we're going to try and get more involved with the local community when it comes to events.
Jeez, and Pete, you guys are doing a lot.
It's busy around here. Yeah.
You see everybody out here. You see a little bit working, but they're moving and grooving the whole time. It's super awesome. So I thought you guys actually started with vans and then accessories. So it's actually accessories first, the box.
Right.
I didn't know that was numero uno.
Yeah. The tall boost box was kind of number one product from the get-go, and it was one of those things where, we got to have some vans to try the products out, and then we're like, we got to do the build. And the idea actually started to do a flat pack, fully kitted out, basically IKEA style build that you could just ship to someone's door and then they could install it for the DIY market.
Yeah.
As we got into the build, realized how intense and much planning that takes, and we got more into doing each van build for the end customer with like a build to order type of structure, and so that allowed us to kind of scale up that side of the business and have these large revenue hits to keep building the business. And then at that time we kind of then went back to product. So it was like initial product, but then mainly the van builds, and now we're adding to the product marketplace weekly. We just added more products onto the website. I think we're up to 60 or 70 SKUs currently available on our website for the DIY space.
Okay, so you didn't do the DIY like kits, right? There's a lot of people that do that,
Right.
But your marketplace, are they all Sandy vans exclusively?
So the product is all for the Sprinter for sure right
Okay.
now. Sprinter specific, as far as our full exterior line, we got, roof rack, the side steps, the rear racks, the storage boxes. We're working on a front bumper, bull bar style. We got the rear step. the side ladder. So all of those products are only would only be compatible with the Sprinter at this point. And all of our builds are done on the Mercedes Sprinter. So there's been talk about the Transit. I think, over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of conversations about the Transit Trail that's been delayed, and just the overall chassis being ready for something that's repeatable and as reliable, honestly, as the Sprinter. The Sprinter has been a really great top of the line, the best unit to build on, best chassis. So right now we're sticking with that in all of our designs. So repeatability is huge. Evan comes from, like I mentioned, manufacturing and manufacturing principles into our builds. Brian, who I mentioned, the woodworker, upgraded the whole facility to a 5x10 CNC about a year and a half ago. So bringing that technology in and having repeatability allows us to keep our price point, at a competitive market rate, as well as bring some customization when it comes to the finishes and the those lighting features and things along the epoxy like that. But the structure of the vehicle or the build out is repeatable, and that's thanks to the manufacturing principles and the CNC work that we're doing in house.
Yeah, and I'm super impressed with I've never driven a Mercedes ever. And so this weekend was the first time driving
Exciting.
one.
Cool.
One, it's got some giddy up for that little 4-cylinder.
Right.
I'm guessing they're all 4-cylinder diesels.
Yeah. So in 23, they moved over to the high output 4-cylinder with the 7-speed transmission. So yeah, all the Sprinters now are on that.
And they get like 20 some miles a gallon.
It's incredible.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
My Astro does not do that. And it's half the size.
Right.
I can't even stand up and walk around like this the whole time.
Yeah. And you're lucky you're at 10 or 12, right? Yeah.
So you're talking about repeatability, right? So van builds and features here. Walk us through like your different layouts, because it sounds like they're supple. You got the social, right? The Scout.
Yep.
The captain's quarters.
Yes.
And I guess, walk us through who these are designed for differently. And then are there different, you have the 144?
Correct.
And then a 170?
Correct. Yeah. So most of the last year we did 26 builds. This year we're our budget, we're looking at 40. Just over 40 is the goal. It's about 3 a month. So we're doing a majority of those are all on the Mercedes Sprinter 144. So that's a shorter wheelbase that allows you to it's what the Revel's on. It's what allows you to park in a normal parking space, a normal spot at the campground, not reserve larger campsites, or you can still park in a spot at Target and just be just fine, right? So it's versatile. It's on the go. It drives like a Mercedes.
It drives great.
It feels like a high-end vehicle in the front, with the finishings and how that user interface interacts. It's not like, you get in some of the other vehicles, other chassis, and you feel like you're in a work truck. This doesn't feel like that, which is nice. Mercedes has kept that brand throughout all their vehicles, and it includes the Sprinter. So we build on the 144. Mainly. There's one exception, which we'll talk about here in a second, but we'll start with our base chassis. So those 3 chassis, like you say, are layouts are the Scout, the Social, and the Captain's Quarters. The Social is the OG. That's where we started, and that is a U-shaped dinette in the back. It's on a lagoon table that drops down, makes one big bed. It's in between a queen and king size bed, tons of room, tons of space. This is meant for, your weekender. You're getting out with your friends. You can now pile in. You got 2 people in the captain seats, but your friends all, end up at the beach with you to surf, to climb in the desert, to, go on hikes, whatever it might be. Now you can have an environment where after that activity, you can all hang out in the van, have a beer, share war stories, and be comfortable, That
was a gnarly one, man. Yeah. We took it bad.
Hey, with kiteboarding, it's sometimes that comes up. We have this thing called, having a kite mare, and it can get serious. So there's always, sharing some of those stories at the end of a session is great when you're in a van and you're in a really remote location and you're protected from the elements and you got cool space to kind of vibe out. So that's the Social layout. All of our vans, all these layouts come with 12-volt refrigerator, the full off-grid electrical system that we partner with Red Arc as our electronics component company. So lithium battery bank. a manager system that takes all the inputs from, a solar panel. You got, DC to DC charging from the alternator when you're driving. You got a shore power opportunity to charge back that battery bank from those 3 different, charging inputs, and then a full water system. So 22 gallons of fresh water over the wheel well on the passenger side with a 12-volt hot water heater, and then you got options on diesel heater, 12-volt Dometic AC system, max air fan. All of this is kind of like standard in our builds, but then the layouts are where the variants are on the actual structure itself. So we went over the Social, now to the Scout, which is our most popular one right now. So most of the customers coming in are interested in the Scout layout. What we call that, it's basically a semi-fixed bed in the back. You'll see a lot of van builds. A lot of these builds in this world have a fixed bed. A lot of people want to have that fixed bed because they don't want to make the bed every day, and that is one concern or I guess rebuttal to the Social, right? It's like, oh, you're using the Lagoon, you have to move the cushions around, you roll out a mattress topper. It's like it takes a couple of minutes, and if you're in your van, daily or weekly, that gets old, and I can understand that. So yeah, we looked at designing a different bed system for the Scout. So it's semi-fixed. It can pull out over the top of it like a 2-person dinette. So what that allows you to do is very quickly already have your sheets and everything set up. That bed will basically pull out, and it would be a queen size bed that sleeps north-south with the length of the van. Oh. So you still have a queen bed. You have an actual mattress, but then you still have seating in the van to now have 4 people. The front 2 captain seats that swivel, the smaller dinette behind the stove and sink in the middle of the vehicle, and then you do have a smaller garage underneath that bed system. So what we find is that is really the best of both worlds. That's going to be more for couples that are doing longer term trips, for someone who's looking to full time. National parks. You're hitting, a lot of golf courses. I was saying earlier, we've had a lot of golfers out of San Diego.
Oh, that one, that kind of threw me off.
Yeah.
I was like, why? It's just one guy, golf. It's a short trip, taking the 5 down.
Hey, all right. I mean, there's golf courses all over, so it's the retirement dream. It's also the adventure dream. Most of our vans are going out with Starlink now, Starlink Mini. You're plugged in, from wherever you are, if you want to be, right? As well as, you got an opportunity to get mountain bikes in underneath the bed as well with the L-track cut into the floor. So you kind of have like the best of all worlds in the Scout build. So we're seeing a lot of those. Okay. The final layout that's currently in our arsenal is really the captain's quarters, and what that does is kind of pushes the Social back a little bit, so you still have that open zone to kind of like hang out with a table, but then it cuts down the cabinetry behind the captain seats and allows for 2 additional captain seats. So what we're seeing there is there's a lot of families that want these vehicles, these adventure vans, just for like day trips or weekend trips. And they want to have their kids, comfy in nice captain seats buckled in behind them. And just, honestly, the glorified soccer rig. You're going to soccer or surf practice and you're just hanging out at the beach. And you're able to just kind of pile everyone in, have that social environment. And you still do have the fridge and the stove and some of these amenities if you're going to go camping. But it's not like the bed setup is not as much of a focus in this van. It's more the seating. So that one's become more popular, and I think it hits a gap in the market that no one's has focused on as much. So we're getting more and more inquiries on the captain's quarters.
And you said the number one is the Scout. That's
correct.
Like the number one build.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the best of both worlds. You can flip down the bed. It's not just I have to make the bed with the cushions and then throw a tapper on. That's one thing that would be a pain.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you're spending more time to live in the thing, I mean, why wouldn't you go with that? And then you have the captain's quarters, which has 2 extra seats.
Correct. Yep.
So you can and those are full belts, or are they bench seat style?
No, they're super comfy seating that has the armrest and they swivel around, and then they got the 3-point harness and everything. So
sweet. The
well set up.
Like safety crash something.
Yeah, DOT approved, all that good stuff.
That thing.
Yes.
Awesome. So what are some standout features or innovations within your builds that customers love the most? I mean, for me, just looking at what I saw on the internet beforehand, epoxy resins. You do a couple of that. That's just it's fancy.
Yes.
It's very fancy. Very, very fancy. It looks very nice. Good. And then you have the Red Arc, which is super awesome. I just met those guys down in Tampa because that's pretty – they seem like they got the whole the whole solar thing down, because that's not an easy thing to understand, right? But they got that inverters and all that. But what are some of your standout features that customers love the most?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, love Red Arc. I think those guys are they're doing it. The company's been around 40 years in Australia, and it's been tried and true in the outback, right?
Nice.
So it's been mostly overlanding truck camping for the past decades, and now they're making they're just emerging growth within the States when it comes to camper van, and I think they're attracting a lot of the OEMs, and they're getting more involved in the space. So we're happy to say that we were one of the OGs that partnered with them when it came to building out electrical systems for vans. So couldn't say enough great things about that team and that product line. So Red Arc's been great. You can turn everything, all your 12 volt, all your lights and everything on and off from your phone. They got an integrated app. So if you're at the campsite, you can turn your lights on and off, or if you forget and you start driving down the road, it's one of those things. Oh, do I pull over and turn that light off? You can just do it right on your phone, which is really cool.
That's fancy.
So that's in all of our builds. Got to be fancy. Yeah. It's glamping on wheels, right? So, and then you nailed it, Jake. It comes down to creating that end finish that just looks unique and provides just like something that stands out. And we like to utilize resins and epoxy pores on like a headboard on the back of the van. We talk with customers many times, and if they have ideas or different designs or logos or things that they really like, or their own personal businesses, we can incorporate that in those finishings. So countertops, tables, headboards, ceilings. Right now we're working on potential partnership. Can't really say the name yet, but they're in the golf industry, and we'd be looking at doing a full custom ceiling that just represents their brand and that industry. So getting creative, like the Red Arc van build, which is on the website. We did their show van that they are taking around. You probably saw it at the...
I did not.
Oh, okay.
They were literally just the booth over. We had a 10x10 booth. They had a 10x10 booth.
Oh, okay. Not big enough. They didn't have their van there then. The van was at SEMA. It was their show pony at SEMA this year in November. And then I know it'll be on tour again this year at a lot of different events. But we did the build out for them with, some epoxy, pores, as well as some plexiglass, so you can see into the electrical cabinet, and it, all glows red. It's got backlit, LED lights. So we can do those, custom jobs that we're working with another company on, but then also just the finishings for a customer that wants to, you're investing a lot of money in one of these builds. Start at $150, sometimes up to $200,000 if you're fully optioning it out. And this is something that we roll out the red carpet, and we have a great delivery party when a customer comes in, because it's one of the happiest days that they're going to have. They're getting this vehicle that they're going to spend a lot of time with their family and friends out adventuring and creating memories. And so we recognize that, and we want it to feel like their own, and be excited about their purchase and experience with Sandy Vans.
Yeah, and you got the whole Van Rock wall over here. Super cool.
Yes.
I'll drop it in here. Sweet.
Cool.
But yeah, you guys make it feel like a little family for everybody, which is super cool. That's like Bish's RV. That's what a lot of people say about us. They like to say that we're a family-owned company. That we like, when someone comes in, the customer's number one, right?
Yes.
And you bring them in, have a full-on delivery day. Here's everything you had to do. Here's how you do everything. You get a full walkthrough with the technician to make sure you understand it. I tell everybody to record it.
Yes.
Because it's a lot.
It's a lot of information day one. Overwhelming, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm in the RV industry, and I'm still like, I don't know. I can sleep. I'm a pretty minimalist still when it comes to that. But these things are pretty customizable, so it sounds like. So how customizable really are they? Are you building these one by one per customer? Or are you building some like I guess like almost like lot feature, like standard? You build it, put it out there, someone buys it later. I guess kind of walk through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right at this point we are we're built to order, so we're booked out right now through April. We're recording this January. Not sure how quick this is going to get out, but yeah. So it's we're booked out. Three vans per month through April right now. We're still fielding incoming leads and talking with customers and basically working through our build consultation. So we have a full a full spec sheet and a full, interactive builder that, each customer, potential prospective customer can kind of walk through, understand pricing, understand their options. Once we lay in, one of those layouts, one of those structures, then the customer gets to select, the different laminate options, the different cabinetry materials, that ceiling, customization feature is one of the standouts. But there's so many different things that, there's like 30 different options and ways to customize each van. So no two vans that leave Sandy Vans are the same. They're always different. Yeah.
Okay.
They're always different with regards to, staying within those layouts, right? Yeah. And then one thing we haven't talked yet, and I said we'd get back to, is the 170. So the 170 out there that we're working on right now is a partnership build with the Concrete Oasis. So Eden and Nicole at Ananda Living Experiences created the Concrete Oasis a couple of years back. It was an internet sensation. If you type Concrete Oasis in, Google or YouTube, you'll see many videos with millions of views, and they're the creators, designers of that van. We worked over the last 6 months to come up with a beneficial way to bring more of those vans to the public, to life, because they're two people just working in a small shop and not able to, took a long time to manufacture that, to build that custom themselves. So we're working on a limited partnership, a limited production run, right now, and the first one is underway. Mm-hmm. And we'll be building as many as we can of them this year, which will likely be about like 5 to 6, because they're a complex build. That one has, a full lift bed, the Happy Check style. It has a walk-in shower in the back. Mm-hmm. And then the most notable feature is the micro cement that you saw, the finishing on the walls, which is, highly detailed, this beautiful Tulum-inspired aesthetic that really brings a luxury fit, feel, and finish to the vehicle, to the van, that hasn't really been done in the space before.
Yeah, they're super cool. They basically take a wood panel, and they do a real thin layer of concrete, right? Or
you
plaster.
Got it.
It's super. It's like, it almost looked stucco. Like,
right.
It's kind of cool. Yeah. But the Concrete Oasis, I mean, you're in the Concrete Oasis, San Diego.
Yeah.
It's literally perfect.
Yeah, it's a good fit. It's a beautiful
absolutely.
build.
But you said personal touch. I mean, no two of these are going to be the same, but are those, if you kick out 10 of those, are they going to be all the same?
Yeah, there are some slight variants, but if Nicole is listening and watching this, she'll be adamant about, they spent so much time in the detail, every single little detail about where everything is sourced and how it matches well in the color palette, that it's designed by. That's what you're really purchasing, is the design and aesthetic that Ed and Nicole spent a lot of time developing. So there are a few different variants, but it's been set up for the customer. So it's kind of like selecting for one of the color palettes that are already pre-made. So the repeatability, and once again, we're taking all kinds of specs and design and engineering going into this first one to be able to produce them, faster and get more to the market.
Awesome. So on the actual van chassis themselves, all-wheel drive or two-wheel drive?
All-wheel drive. Yes.
Every single one of them.
Yeah, we do offer a rear-wheel drive option, but yeah, the $149,000 price point, that is including build of the layouts that we just discussed, and that's all on the Mercedes 144 brand new 2025's all-wheel drive with the high output motor and the 7-speed that we discussed. Yes, the rear-wheel drive is an option. You can cut about 10K off. We don't find much interest in that. Most adventure vans, someone's saying, hey, we want to be ready for the snow or the sand, and that's important to have the all-wheel drive. It also comes with a 2-inch lift from the factory. So it gets you a little bit more clearance, and then yeah, there's options to do additional upgrades to the suspension that we do in-house as well.
Awesome. Well, speaking of accessories and add-ons, let's move to the next one. But real quick, I'm going to make sure these are filming, because we lost our guy.
Yeah, let's do that.
I mean, we have fingers crossed. We do have a little buzz. If we do hear it, I'm sorry. We'll take it's like a noise reduction. I'll put it on there.
I think AI's got a solution for that now, right?
CapCut.
Perfect.
It's great. Just like touch the button. It takes like 10 seconds. Like, see ya.
I mean, yeah, hopefully we can AI build, soon.
I mean, you got a CNC. It's kind of nice.
Step one.
AutoCAD. I took AutoCAD in high school, and brutal. I can build whatever. You put it in front of me,
Yeah.
I can build it.
Yeah.
That's how I was, but I couldn't.
Like doing it in
AutoCAD.
the computer. You're like, oh man.
Yeah, I was like, wait, just let me go.
Yeah. Yeah. I had that experience too. We did this. We actually had this really cool class the senior year at high school. It was called Technology Challenge. We actually built from scratch a automated pancake maker.
What?
Yeah. So it was like you got a challenge each class did, and you had to like build this. So it was in a shop class. I was like, metals. So it's fully aluminum, and we were working with the lathes to create these spindles. We built this big vat that was TIG welded together that all the mix would go in. Then we had these griddles that the mix would land on, and then it would slide over and get like sandwiched together and cook the pancakes. And it was a really fun project, and took the whole year and ended up bringing it to like a competition, and you like have this grading material and all this. But I had that same experience. The instructor professor is like, oh, you need to do all this in CAD, and we're like,
Why?
whoa, we're building it. Yeah. So it was like that reverse engineering. So yeah, I didn't pick up CAD either. I ended up in the business school in sales and marketing.
Most definitely. It was for me. I mean, like I said, I wanted in sales too. I was door to door before camper sales.
Yeah.
RV sales. Yeah. It was a tough life.
It's a tough life. I did a summer knocking doors. You got to
I
learn how to
crushed it.
take a no.
I crushed it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even no at that point. It's like, well, I'm just helping out your neighbors. So
Yeah.
move on from there.
Right.
just build on that. But
Yeah.
all right. So back to the podcast. We should probably actually talk about Sandy Vans, huh?
Hey, anytime.
Anytime. So wait, one real quick. You guys did that. We built a house every year in my high school.
Whoa.
So we started in cabinetry freshman, sophomore year.
Yeah.
We did cabinetry, and then it was building trades junior, senior year. So the cabinetry would obviously go in the house,
Right.
and then it would be like an auction every year. And with the town, there's that buzz back. Yeah.
That's-
But anyway, we'd do that.
Yeah.
And it was super fun. And then I went into the GC. I wanted to be a GC real bad, but can't keep people happy. So moved on from that to
Right.
roofing. Then I
Roofing. Yeah.
rented up in RVs, and now I'm doing a podcast in San Diego with Sandy Vans. So
What a track. We love it.
well, yeah, weird. You
Yeah.
know, sales were a great way to go, but it's man, I don't know. I saw no end in sight. So I'm doing this now.
Hey man, you want to make a move down to San Diego? We got a lot of openings here. All right.
The second one trying to get me. Jeez.
Build sales, all across the company.
Well,
Yeah,
we'll
it'd be fun.
stay in touch. You never know. So
Well, at least get some Sandy Vans to Bish's down the line. That'll be the move.
we'll try.
All right.
Yeah. Hey,
Cool.
we'll stay in touch.
Yeah, let's do it.
absolutely. So okay. All right. Accessories and add-ons. We talked a little bit about it already, but Sandy
Yes,
Vans
yeah.
also offers quite a few accessories besides the boost box.
Right.
Right. So you have these thingies over
Yeah.
here. What are these called?
Yeah, so we did the port and starboard rack. We did a little nautical terms, but yeah, rear universal racks that go onto the back hinges, open with the door. Don't put any holes in your door, which is very important because a lot of racks do. And if you want to take the rack off, down the line, you don't have a hole in your door, so that's nice. And then universal rack, anything can go on it. So you got roto packs, you got shovels, you got all of our storage boxes, the boost box we talked about, boost box mini, bike racks, all kinds of different things you can throw on the back of the van, so you have more storage externally rather than putting things in the van that you don't need to go inside the van.
Yeah. Very Jeep-esque.
Yes.
You have a very Jeep-esque, and honestly, it looks a lot like M-Lock. You know what M-Lock is?
Yep.
For guns.
Right.
Yeah, it looks very similar to that. So you have the boost box, you have side steps, you have these accessories as well. So the back side's this. What are they
Right.
called again? The starboard and port.
Port and starboard, yes.
Port,
Yes, sir.
starboard. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
nautical. These
Yeah.
are fully attached to the doors. They don't swing separately, right?
Correct. Yeah. Fully attached. It'll swing articulate with the door. Yep.
And no extra holes, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Outside of that, is there more than that? And how? I mean, we kind of talked about how they actually make the van life or enhance the van life experience. But is there more than just those three?
Yeah, definitely. There's, I think we're up to about 60 SKUs on the website. A lot of those products are resale, or we're wholesaling. But as far as the Sandy Vans exterior product line, there's about 15 different products and more coming this year. So the side steps is a big one. That's been another big seller. That as we mentioned, 2 inches of lift from the factory. So getting in and out of these vans, the all-wheel drives without a side step is nearly impossible. So that's the first thing we find a lot of customers are doing. And then roof rack. Roof rack is where you're going to house the Starlink we talked about earlier, all your solar panels, roof rack decking. So we also do decking panels. This is all 3/16 aluminum. So now you have a full deck up there where you can, set chairs up or throw surfboards or whatever you like.
It's a dream.
Yeah, level 2 of your van. You got the beach view, the sunset view from your roof deck.
Does beer taste better on the roof?
Always. Always, right, yeah.
I'm sure you've had a roof beer too.
Yeah, it's a must, especially at those long shows. You get to the end of the expos. I mean, I was on the expo circuit for Sandy Vans for the last 3 years. Finally excited to pass the torch, and we've hired a few individuals to help with us this year. But yeah, at the end of a long day at an expo, and you're talking all day about vans, it's nothing better than a rooftop beer.
Oh God, speaking my language.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll kind of roll into this question. What role do these accessories really play for somebody who may not own a Sandy van,
right,
but wants to upgrade their current van setup? It sounds like it's only Mercedes Sprinters. Correct. Which is fine. I mean, that's 90% of them anyway. I know there's Transits and there's the Dodge ProMaster as well. Right. But it really seems like these are taking over the market.
Yeah, when you talk about adventure van, I mean, the ProMaster is limited to front wheel drive only. The ProMaster does have the Transit Trail. They're working more on an all wheel drive platform, but they're still not getting large volume units out, and still I think there's been hiccups there. So Mercedes is the number one when it comes to the adventure van space, and yeah, so I think you're well set up with the exteriors. The exterior product, add-ons are something that it's kind of a lot of guys who get a Sprinter. It's like, oh, what can I add on? The first thing to make it look cool and be more functional is the bolt-ons, the outside of the vehicle. So sometimes customers are even looking at DIYers are looking at, hey, how can we get the roof rack on once again to get solar on immediately onto that before the builds even start. You're looking at decking out the exterior. So all those products are listed on our website. We ship them across the country, so we can package it. We have DIY install videos on all of the products.
That's sweet.
Work instructions, the full kit to kind of ship to your door and perform the install right there. Or we do free installs on all of our products here at the shop. So if you're in Southern California, actually we've had customers, drive in from the Bay Area, Vegas, Arizona, just to, take advantage of that, do a big purchase, not pay shipping, as well as get a free install and come check out the facility. So always open to that. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5:30, and love to have people drop by.
It's a super cool spot.
Thank you.
I could chill here.
Yeah, we've been doing it for some time already today.
Yeah, that's what's 1.5, 3. Yeah, I got here. Yeah, 3 hours and 12 minutes to be exact.
And you're not bored yet, huh?
Not bored yet. We're killing it right now. So,
and they're having some fun outside.
Oh, they're doing some more filming. Look at this.
Yeah, we film Inception.
Sweet. It's film Inception. Film within a film within a film.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay. So all you have to do, if you really want something, you can just get online.
Yes, sir.
And they have their own little marketplace on there. You said it was a Shopify store? Or
Shopify, yeah. Sandyvans.com, Shopify. Okay. So, yeah, you can make the purchase. We're fulfilling, orders within 3 to 5 business days typically. So, products in stock, it's ready to go, ships to your door. The big one right now has been for the winter, has been the boost box for ski, snowboard storage.
Yep.
Onto our starboard rack, the rear rack. So that's a big combo right now. The side steps, like I mentioned, roof rack, decking panels, side ladders, all kinds of good stuff. So yeah, it's all on the website.
You have their ski storage? Mine are, I ride 190s, man. I ride boats.
Okay.
Will they fit?
That's going to be a little 182s. 182s
okay.
is the max. We are looking at a few different options on making that box, extending it a little bigger. It's just with manufacturing, you got limitations on the press brake and all these things, but 182s is currently our max. Yeah.
Okay. So do you guys outsource that? All this stuff, so steel work, you outsource it elsewhere.
Yeah, it's all aluminum, so it's lightweight and it's rust free and it's powder coated and it has a nice finish, and so that's all done with our manufacturing partners. So designed by Evan, the engineer I mentioned, in house, and then we go through prototyping here locally. Some of the prototyping here at the shop, product testing. Baja Bry, gets his name from cruising to Baja so much. So from there, then it goes, to our manufacturing partner to ramp up. Production, and then still comes here to the facility for final inspection, packaging, and shipping.
So you have your own little PDI process.
Yeah,
nice.
For sure.
Look at you guys.
Yeah, make it happen.
Yeah. Question: do you want to talk about these at all?
Oh, the new wheels and tire upgrade. Yeah, so we are currently working with a group and designed our own wheel. So that's actually coming out, next month. So it's got a beadlock style, and the rim is like a machined gunmetal look, as well as there will be a black version. And yeah, we call this the Canyon, and we're actually looking for the name for this one. So maybe hit the comments. I don't know. We're going to launch it in February, and we're going to need a name for it. And then we throw of course, the BFG KO3s, best in the business. That's what we put on all the rigs as far as tire goes.
Bulletproof.
Oh,
it's not bad.
Sandivan's bullets.
Ooh.
Like
We'll talk more about it later. All right. So these things, you kind of gave us a whole rundown of how it works. You got the designs, you got the 3 layouts, you got all the accessories you can put on top of it. So let's talk about customer journey. So if someone wanted to buy from Sandivans, they wanted a Sandivan built to order, right?
Yep.
Explain the whole process and timeline of purchasing a Sandivan from order to delivery.
Right. Yeah. So right now, website, you'll see us at all these different expos. We're signed up for 16, this year. Okay. Most of them in Southern California. So if you see one of the vans, you like what you see, or you see it online, you say, hey, I want, the Hugh Jack van or something that the social look, the social layout or what have you. Make an inquiry through the website. Our sales team will pick that up and set up a build consultation. Go through basically, a very in-depth kind of like spreadsheet option list with you that says, the cost of every add-on, and then that is inclusive of the color palettes and the color choices. So you get to basically a base or a full encompassing price. Then from there we talk funding. We have 3 different funding partners, so we can help finance the vehicle for you, the full build out. We'll secure the van on your behalf, so no need to go to dealerships and work with dealers. We have that network dialed. The vans get dropped off right here, to our facility. You can still select your color of the van, the pebble gray, the stone gray, the blue gray. These are the big colors, but we can get any color you like. And then that van gets drop shipped here, and then we get to town. We get to work on that build for you. After the initial locking in the price build consultation meeting, then typically customers want to be on site, touch, feel, see the different options for laminate colors and materials for cabinetry countertops and flooring and ceiling. So we have all the options here. We go through kind of a full design meeting. So step 1, build consultation, lock in pricing, talk about financing, then go to a design review meeting with the customer. And then from there, turn it loose in the shop. We kind of get it in the schedule. Typically takes between about 4 to 6 weeks once the van is in the shop to go through the build and get the keys into the customer's hands on the red carpet that happens right here.
We call that the scratch and sniff. When you come in, you got to come and see it. I want to touch and feel. I want to be there. Yeah, we call that like we used to sell off. We do what do they call it? No sight. What do they call it? You don't see it.
Oh yeah. Just
what's that? I forgot. We got there.
Yeah, out of sight. I forget.
Whatever. It is what it is. You don't see it, you come by it.
Right. Yeah.
You got to see it. We don't sign the papers until you get there. But so that's kind of start to finish. Now, financing, I did ask you this beforehand because it's a different animal versus it's outside RVs. But now it sounds like you can get that 10, 15, 20-year note on these things.
Right.
Is that recent or has that always been?
No, good question. It's been a challenge for this industry, this custom conversion industry for a decade, really. What happened is, over the past 5 years, banks are starting to recognize and understand what this product is a bit more and more.
Yeah.
So some banks have approved it. There still can be challenges. Mercedes sometimes, direct can help with the financing, but what we've established 3 different banking partners that understand our vans, where our vans land in the market when it comes to pricing, and are comfortable with funding it either 10, 15 or 20, like you say. So yeah, that financing is not a problem. We have options for customers there. We actually have a very unique option for business owners that help with it being attached to the business on a unique write-off type of scenario, and actually is classified as like a lease to own. So there's some really unique ways to kind of go about the financing, because it's once again a huge purchase. You're talking about a couple $100,000 in a van that you're going to keep for a long time, that you want to make sure is a really awesome toy. You want to
Oh,
make
yeah.
sure it's leveraged in the right ways when it comes to, just your business, your taxes, your personal finances. And we're here, every step of the way. And that's, one of my jobs is to make sure the customer is taken care of and makes sense in their finances.
Sweet. So 3 lenders.
Yes, sir.
3 main lenders. Can you come out outside? Obviously, there's cash pay, right?
Right.
There's people that do. We're in California.
Yeah.
People buy cash.
It happens. Yeah.
But you can bring in your own lending too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll work with your bank and kind of go through those steps to help, the registration and the financing and connecting the dots to make it happen.
So right now, you'd be first contact, right? If someone wanted, so if I say I wanted to buy a van, I'd be talking to you firsthand.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be involved. There is a sales manager and sales associate. Actually, I think I mentioned, just put out an offer this week. So that individual will start in February. And then we have a sales manager that's, running most of the build consultations. But when you get involved in the process, that's my area is front of house. And then Evan, is the shop. So that's kind of how it's laid out here. So I'm definitely hands-on in every build and every interaction when it comes to the customer journey.
Sweet. So outside of actually purchasing, let's talk about what advice would you, since you've been in the space for a little while, how many years now?
A little over 3.
So 3 years now.
Yep.
But you kind of had your own van beforehand.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So what advice would you give someone trying or considering their first camper van? Because there's a lot of options, especially out here.
Yep.
Tons of options.
A lot of
and
options.
there's the Class B market as well, or the DIY market as well.
Right.
What advice would you give someone considering the van life?
Absolutely. Yeah. Get out and rent. Rent a van, get out. You don't know, we have so many inbound calls, so many customers are saying, I have to have a shower in the van. I have to have a bathroom and shower inside. And it was like, well, why? Especially individuals who come from campground, tent camping or are going to be mainly camping at campgrounds. There's access to facilities, and what happens in, many of these revels is that bathroom turns into a glorified wet closet. Yeah, no one is buttoning up and showering inside. Very rarely. Some customers up in Idaho ski, that are at the ski mountain and really need to have it, want to have an indoor shower. Then, I get that. But 99% of the time, it's not needed to have an indoor shower. So, that's my opinion. But I think the most important thing is to get out and rent, take it on an actual real world application of what you want to do with this van, because we see it on Instagram, we see what it looks like on YouTube, and it looks amazing. But you don't know how you're going to use things. You have an idea in your head, but getting out and trying it, try before you buy. And so that's where, our rental fleet comes in handy, as well as just outdoorsy in general. So there's a platform that has thousands of options, and you could go anywhere in the country and hop in a van for a quick weekend trip before you start looking about, talking about spending upwards of $100,000-$200,000 on basically a Ferrari, right? It's like, a big purchase, right? So you got to make sure that, you have things you want, but have things that you're actually going to use and need.
Absolutely. So you have your own rental fleet. And do you say you have that? Is it through your own website, or do you guys do outdoorsy? Do you do RV share?
Correct. Yeah, it's through Outdoorsy. Yeah.
It is?
Yep.
Okay. Well, if you haven't heard from Outdoorsy, I have a whole podcast on that. So you could buy one of these and rent it out on Outdoorsy if you watch that.
Absolutely.
Because I talked to one of the main partner guys over there, because we're kind of partnered with them. And it's great. Use someone else's money to pay for your toy.
Exactly.
That's the way to go about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we have, we've helped, Go Camp, Outdoorsy, Turo, RV Share. Many of our customers are leveraging those platforms to offset some of their monthly costs, right?
Yeah.
So now they have, instead of paying whatever it is, $1,200-$1,300 a month, they're paying half, and still getting, access when they want to their van.
Awesome. So lifestyle impact. Right. So how does Sandy Vans support active and adventurous lifestyles? It sounds like it's meant for everybody. You don't have one more question. I'm going to bounce back real quick.
Sure.
Indoor shower. Do you not do those at all?
We do not in our 144 layouts. The Scout, the Social, and the Captain's Quarters does not have an indoor shower. The 170, the Concrete Oasis, has a full shower. Okay. So if you are looking for more of that, that luxury fit, form, and finish, and that, boutique hotel on wheels, that's where the Concrete Oasis comes in.
Okay.
Another one that we are starting to build this year is another product line. It's called the Bjarne Signature. That's also on a 170, and that will have an option of an indoor shower as well. Okay. There's another van that we build, which is custom. It's called the SV Stretch. It was on our YouTube. It had a lot of interest around. That one had a full walk-in shower. So we find that if you're going to do a walk-in shower in a shower, it needs to be a 170. There's not quite enough room in the 144. So that is an option. And the Concrete Oasis, nails it with the shower in the back, and then the lift bed in the front of the seating area.
Yeah, and the 144, it looks you'd be looking like Elf in there,
Elf, yeah. Will Ferrell just like
he's like just throwing it up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check this one more time. We're almost done. We got like 3 more questions.
All right, cool.
Still rolling. Sweet.
We are still rolling, ladies and gentlemen. It's happening.
Okay.
Rolling.
I need to get up and walk around after this one.
Yeah.
Man, I'm getting tight. Okay. Lifestyle and impact. We talked about, you come from the adventure sports, kite surfing, dirt biking, flat track. Did you ever hit Peoria?
Peoria, Illinois.
Yeah. Did you ever hit that track?
Yeah.
That track is sick.
Yeah.
That is like my style of riding.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild. So I was oval track.
Okay. Full flat track.
Yeah. And, but yeah, Peoria, I do recall having, and I was open wheel, like stock car racing. So oval track stock cars.
No, I'm thinking of the one that it was not a full flat track. It was
banked.
No. It was like a single track almost.
Oh, okay.
But it was, they're flying. I mean, they'll have a lot of tabletop jumps and stuff like that. Nothing crazy, not full motocross. It was more like flat track style bikes.
Okay. Cool.
You never hit that?
No. That one.
You were cool until like 10 seconds ago.
Yeah, I was all over, but not that one.
So sweet. Okay, so we'll come back to motorcycles after the podcast. But so how does Sandy Vans really support the active and adventurous lifestyle? Obviously, they're adventure vans, right? That's no surprise to anybody. But what kind of customers typically come to you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean it's all action sports. Right now we got a couple in Vail or in Colorado. They met us at the GoPro Mountain Games. We're talking about the mecca of action sports. Pro athletes there to kayak, mountain bike, run. Everything under the sun at the GoPro Mountain Games. So those are the kind of individuals that are attracted to having a van and to having a Sandy van. So they're flying in. We did a final build consultation, and we're making sure their van is well kitted out for their mountain bikes. They're very specific about what bikes they have, where they're going. I think we do a good job of attracting that when it comes to our marketing, our personal interests. Brian, he's got the moto on lock. I'm Evan and I we're all active kiteboarders. Always traveling to find wind and wave, surfing, climbing, everything in between. Right now, we're actually working on a marketing program with this individual. I won't name her yet because I think it hasn't been released, but she's working to be or planning to be the first ever woman to skateboard across the country from LA to New York.
She's gonna have one massive leg.
Yeah. She's gonna have to switch off, I think. Yeah, it's gonna be tough, right? So that's happening in April. So we partnered with a group called the Speed Project, which did this race on the cyclist race from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. We've done all these really cool kind of unique partnerships. There's actually a group heading up to Mammoth right now in one of our vans, snowboarding. So a lot of activations, working with athletes, working with different adventurers that are, creating that content as well as living that lifestyle. So I think that's why, the vans are a perfect fit.
Yeah.
And so it's about like making sure that customers are aware, and then a really exciting thing we're actually aiming to do is get to Kelly Slater,
the surfer,
the surfer,
not the guy off of.
Jake didn't know who he was. I have to give him a lot for that.
That's
so,
okay.
Kelly Slater, he has a famous wave pool in Central Coast, California, Lemoore.
I did know that.
Oh, you did?
So he has the ranch, the surf ranch.
The surf
He's got the train and the track and the plow. That's where I want to learn to surf.
Yeah, well, that, it's not cheap. It's a manufactured wave, but it is perfect.
Yeah.
So Sandy Van's group is heading up there in June to check that out, which would be really cool.
Got room for one more?
Hey, maybe.
Might just come out there.
Yeah.
I'll meet you out
That'd
there
be a
at the
place to
Astro
learn.
Wave.
Yeah. I think the engineers of the wave would kill. They would not be happy. You can't learn there. It's an expensive wave.
Really?
Every wave costs about $450. Yeah.
Sheesh.
It's no joke. No joke. Yeah. The ocean provides free ones. It's only $10 from there. Yeah.
Maybe parking. It depends.
Yeah.
Gas to get there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, I didn't know that. $450 a wave. That's cool.
But it's a perfect wave.
So have you ridden there?
No, that's fine. I'm excited about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a small group heading up there. It'll be a fun experience and another way to connect with a few surfers in industry that will be involved, and it'll be a cool activation event.
No kidding. You guys have done a lot in 3 years. I mean, two guys. I mean, you're a marketing genius apparently, because you're just like putting your fingers everywhere. Like I'm just like got hands touching here, and then you're using marketing, using everyone else's audiences to really get into the business, which is awesome. So kudos to you.
Hey, thank you.
That's
Can't give
hard
away
to do.
all of our secrets, but yeah, it's been like the van is so perfect for marketing, right? It really captures attention, and so opportunities like this, they mean a lot. Getting in front of more eyes and making sure that customers understand our journey and what we're trying to put out, a quality product, and be customer obsessed and just be involved in the community. I think is really important to grow the business in this lifestyle type of business.
Well, I'll pick your brain later, because that's what I'm trying to do for us.
All right.
So on the customer side of things, some impact for customers that you had. What are some of the most memorable customer stories or feedback you've received about Sandy Vans and the accessories in general? Because you guys really cater to the adventure sport people. So you've had some good stories, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny you say that. So we're actually launching what's called Sandy Vans TV in a couple of months here. And so that's going to be a really fun way to see the customer journey in action, as well as provide some entertainment as far as like what that looks like, what their experience is. And so, one of the first individuals, subject, the kind of like storyline behind the pilot episode is this girl, Sarah, and she is a private chef. She works here in San Diego for, in La Jolla. We got the phone ringing.
Someone wants a van.
Yeah, let's go. Get them in here.
You want to take it?
Well, hopefully someone
Okay.
else get. Yeah, our front desk has actually had a show this week, so it's been all hands on deck around here.
Well, I
Maybe you
appreciate
should
taking
take
the
it.
time. Hey, I can sell,
yeah,
man.
you know the
I can
whole.
sell. I know the whole thing.
You know the whole thing now.
Well, just listen to this podcast and you can buy
Yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly. We just point in this direction. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, we'll let it
Go to
go to
voicemail.
voicemail here.
All right. So,
But sorry, yeah, where was I? Oh, Sarah. So Sarah's, she's, she had this requirement to do an outdoor kitchen set up out of her van, as well as have, room, because she's a skater, a snowboarder, surfer, and climber. So she wanted all of her gear set up in there. So that was a recent one that was a ton of fun, just working with her. And you'll see a lot more of that story when it comes to Sandy Vans TV, the pilot episode coming out. Like I said, next month. But notable ones, we've done some really cool projects. We did one actually for Kaylani, the famous musician. So she wanted one to, be on tour, as well as, just also a big surfer. So that was really cool to work with someone, that has more exposure in the world. So it was fun to kind of like interact with different individuals and other people who have done them for actually podcasting or their adventure. So it's been really cool to meet unique individuals in different spaces that have these use cases that you never would have thought of. So they did a full like studio in the back. We did a podcast and sound studio.
That's the dream, dude. That's the dream.
I think that'd be speaking your language.
Yeah, I love talking to new people. It's something, the art of BS from the Midwest. It's just part of it. I mean, you just get it.
Yeah.
Not everybody has it. It's okay.
Right.
I felt like I moved out to Idaho. I felt like I didn't know how to talk to people because they didn't know. Like we have a verbal ping pong, right? You just you kind of roll back and forth.
Yeah.
And like something's funny, build on it.
Right.
It doesn't happen in Idaho.
No. And the goodbyes.
Yeah.
How about the Midwest goodbye?
It doesn't work. Ending this podcast might suck.
It won't happen. We're just going to keep going. It's like you're about to say goodbye, and then there's always another question. I just remember I was back visiting and a family friend, and we made it all the way to the driveway, and this is like 20 minutes of saying goodbye, and then they had like another story they wanted to bring up, and I was like, I'm here for it. You know, we're there another hour.
Yeah. You hug 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
you're like,
exactly.
I'm good.
Right,
see you, love you, but
the Midwest goodbye is great. Yeah. Not good people.
It's absolutely a salt of the earth people for sure.
Yeah.
So I have 2 questions left.
All right, let's do it.
One question: why Sandy Vans? Why is it called Sandy Vans?
Hey,
because there's mountains, there's snow.
Right.
I mean, you guys started kite surfing. That was kind of what brought you two together, right?
Yeah. I, it was, it's funny. I remember the exact moment when Sandy Vans came out of my mouth, and we were it was Evan and I, we were driving back from this Idaho trip, and we were kind of like brainstorming. And I tell you what, there's a lot of van companies, so we're like, Stoke Vans and West Coast Vans and this.
Nope.
And they're all like taken.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, this is, and then we're like, something that ties with San Diego, the beach. And like Sandy just rolled out, and we're like, Sandy Vans, and it just,
there you go.
You're not having the right adventure unless you got a little bit of sand in your van.
Or your toes.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Sandy.
I was pretty sure I still have sand in my toes. I took an outdoor shower this morning.
See, that's all you need.
Yeah.
Especially in San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego. Would be my first outdoor shower in San Diego. The first place I stayed in, it was like the captain quarters. It was last year, 2023, November. I stayed it's like right in Ocean Beach. It was like looking right over that like the iconic oversea of the cliff.
Yeah.
And it's like right on that corner.
Oh, it's a great spot.
It was an outdoor shower. It was like a captain's quarters, like back end, like somewhere where like a maid would stay or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
I had to, like literally the front room was like 4 foot tall, and I'd like crawl through it.
Yeah.
And then there was an outdoor shower, super cool.
And then you just overlooking the ocean with a shower.
No. I had to walk like 100 feet.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
But all right, last question, pal. You did say that you have some future things coming. You have Sandy Vans TV.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is that's a big thing to take over.
It's a big project. Yeah.
It's a big project, and you got Caleb. Apparently, he's the guy, right?
Yeah, he's the guy. He's our filmer. He's here. Shout out to Caleb. He's here, weekly, putting awesome content together for us. We have a whole marketing team. It's here typically on Wednesdays, and the filming process. Now we were working with another firm that's helping us with the Sandy Vans TV. So that's a full production. I love the lights you're coming in with your mobile studio.
Fancy.
It's great. With this group, it's like the lights, three camera setup. It's really exciting, and it's a fun thing that I think will be captivating for the general audience, not necessarily just the DIYers and individuals in the van space. I think we'll still think it's interesting and cool because it's a different spin, but it'll also be have this kind of mainstream kind of buy-in as far as entertainment value. So excited to launch that Sandy Vans TV. There'll be about 25 minute episodes on our YouTube, and who knows where it'll go from there.
Yeah. So that's super sweet. I mean, is it mostly going to be like tours of each van, or what's the vision of it?
It'll be kind of like a West Coast chopper style. Well, you have an individual that's coming in, wants a van, wants a new project. We're talking about some sort of build, and then walking through that process and kind of a peek behind the curtains of what happens around here. Like the funny interactions. The builders. They're each one just has their own personality. It's hilarious back there. And then, Evan going through the design, the customer, wanting specific things, how we build things. And then seeing the final product, obviously out in the wild with Sarah, seeing her, with that dream van, on the coast cooking for, a group of people. Like that's what it was all about.
Super sweet. Creating the dream for everybody. You can have it create, you have to create your, sorry.
What's right?
Are you gonna have to create? Are you gonna create any drama back there? Because West Coast shoppers, there was some drama.
Yeah, this
yelling across at each other.
Right.
Throwing stuff across the shop.
Yeah, we got a lighter, more positive kind of like, kind of overall vibe and outlook, in the shop. But there's definitely still those days. I mean, yesterday we were here till 9 p.m. and it's it's a grind. Like there's deadlines, and then things do go wrong in the manufacturing process.
Always.
And there's over 300 products that go in every van. So supply chain and ordering things and things not fitting right. So it's a constant problem solving when it comes to building one of these vans and getting it in a timely manner. 4 to 5 weeks is really fast when it comes to building a small home on wheels.
Yeah, God, they're sweet though.
Yeah.
God, they're cool. So what about any upcoming models, innovations, accessories that are on the horizon?
Yeah, the big one is the concrete oasis. So that's a huge undertaking.
Mm-hmm.
This micro cement, this manufacturing methodology that hasn't really been done that much in the space. I mean, honestly, Nicole and Eden pioneered it when they put the first concrete oasis together a couple of years ago. So I think our team learning that and basically re-engineering that entire van project is a huge task that the team is taking on right now. And then on the product side, we have a full list that we're looking to get out this year. So I think there's going to be a lot of exciting things and more product reviews and product launches that'll be upcoming on the website and once again our YouTube and socials. So big things on the product side, and then the big one right now is concrete oasis when it comes to the vans.
Super cool, man. Well, I really appreciate your time. Telling me your whole story, giving me the full walkthrough, treating me like family.
Yeah.
Midwest brother, love it.
You bet.
Gotta love it, man. It's I miss it sometimes.
Yeah.
But being out here, it's not so bad. It's not so bad.
Yeah.
Not so bad at all. But if you haven't heard of Sandy Vans before, this is your welcome video. Welcome to Sandy Vans. This is a wonderful place. You're going to be talking to Alan Mandis and then Evan. What's Evan's last name?
Purcell.
These guys are the two co-founders.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
You guys run this company, brought it up for 3 years, and started at how many square feet?
We started in Evan's garage. We were just building in a garage for about 6 months, and then we went into a 2,500 square foot facility right on the border of Mexico in Chula Vista, and we were there for about a year and a half, and then we moved into this facility in Miramar, 12,000 square foot facility in end of 23. So a year and a few months now.
It's pretty legit, man. These vans are super, super sweet. Check out sandyvans.com.
Yes, sir.
And then Sandy Vans Official on Instagram. And then what's the YouTube?
Just at Sandy Vans. Yep.
At Sandy Vans. Yep. Pretty simple, man.
Easy.
And then Sandy Vans TV is coming, so you got to subscribe and hit the like buttons for them.
Yes, please.
And then please follow the RV Voice on Instagram. For one, that's where I do most of my stuff. But all these drop first on YouTube. So the RV Voice on YouTube, and check out bishes.com. If you're not interested in a van, but if you are interested in a van, check out sandyvans.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bishes for everything else, towables for the most part, because we can cater to all the customers, man.
Yeah, pleasure having you visit the facility, and I'd love to make the trip back up and see Bishes maybe this summer when we get a chance to do a little break from the facility and get some kiting in, and see what sports there are up in Boise in the summer.
Mountain biking's big.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
We'll make it happen.
Awesome, buddy. Well, we're gonna not do the Midwest goodbye.
Yeah.
Everybody, follow Sandy Vans on everything you can, and stay tuned for more from the RV Boys. Dude, hell yeah.
That was great.
Sweet. Yeah. Not too bad, huh? I didn't follow it like